Hello and welcome to the guide. This time we're taking a look at the versatile and incredibly fun Shadow Priest.
Check it out.
This guide is meant to be quick and concise, so you can get all the information you need, whether you're brand new to the spec or a veteran just brushing up. I'm also super happy to announce the channel will have custom music from producer Colin Reed. I'm excited to be working with him on these videos to make them extra special for you guys. Follow the link in the description to check out his awesome work. And without any further delay, here is Shadow Priest. Let's check out the foundational abilities. This is what makes a spec really unique. Shadowy apparitions. When you use Mind Blast, Devouring Plague, or Void Bolt, you create a shadowy apparition for each nearby target affected by your vampiric touch that floats to the target and causes damage. Critical strikes will cause double the shadowy apparitions. Void Eruption, cause an AoE burst of damage within 10 yards of your target and put you into Void form. This ability is replaced by Void Bolt while in Void form and is on a 1.5 minute cooldown. Void form, after casting Void Eruption, enter Void form for 15 seconds. Void form increases spell damage by 20% and grants an additional charge of Mind Blast and resets its cooldown. Void Bolt, only usable while in Void form on a very short cooldown, generates 12 insanity and sends a bolt at the enemy, causing damage and extending the duration of your Shadow Word Pain and Vampiric Touch on all targets by 4 seconds. And Shadow Form, assume a Shadow Form, increasing spell damage by 10%. Here are your core abilities that you will be pressing frequently. Mind Flay is your single target filler, a channeled ability that does damage, slows the target by 50%, and generates insanity over the duration. Mind Seer is your AoE channeled insanity generator, radiate shadow damage to all enemies within 10 yards of your target, and generates 6 insanity per target hit over the duration. Mind Blast, deal damage and generate 8 insanity on a 15-second cooldown. At rank 2, level 13, your cooldown will be cut in half. Vampiric Touch deals a large amount of damage over time, heals you for half the damage dealt, and your shadowy apparitions will damage anything affected by it. If it's dispelled, the dispeller is feared for 3 seconds. Shadow Word Pain, an ability that deals damage over time and generates 4 insanity. Shadow Word Death, this has come out of the talents and is now baseline for all priest specs. It's seen a number of iterations. Currently, inflict the target with shadow damage. If the target lives, you take damage equal to the damage done. If the target is less than 20% health, Shadow Word Death does 150% more damage. Devouring Plague is our new ability. Instantly cause damage and put a powerful dot on the target for 6 seconds. It also heals you for 50% of the damage dealt, costs 50 insanity. Now onto our big cooldowns. Shadow Fiend, summon a shadowy fiend to attack the target for 12 seconds, generates 3 insanity each time it attacks. Dispersion, a big defensive ability that reduces damage by 75%, increases movement speed by 50%, and makes you immune to movement impairing effects for 3 seconds. While in Dispersion, you can't attack or cast. Desperate Prayer, now available to all specs, increase your maximum health by 25% for 10 seconds and heal for that amount. Vampiric Embrace, for 15 seconds, 85% of your single target damage will heal a nearby ally. Psychic Scream, cause 5 enemies within 8 yards to be feared for 8 seconds. Damage may interrupt the effect. At rank 2, Psychic Scream can withstand 20% more damage before breaking. Power Infusion, at level 58, Power Infusion is unlocked, infuses the target with power for 20 seconds, increasing haste by 25%. Notice I said the target. This ability has been self-cast for years, and it can now be cast on targets. On to the passives. Focused Will, gain 15% damage reduction for 8 seconds after taking a melee attack. Dark Thoughts, a new passive. For each dot you have on the target, Mind Flay and Mind Sear have a 3% chance to increase your number of Mind Blast charges by 1 and make it insta-cast, which can be cast even while channeling Mind Flay or Mind Sear. Mastery, Shadow Weaving, new to Shadow, your damage is increased for each of your dots on the target. Shadow Word Pain, Vampiric Touch, and Devouring Plague. During Void form, all targets receive the maximum effect. To put it simply, 3 dots on the target to get full damage boost. During Void form, you always have the full damage boost. And Hallucinations, your successful Dispels, Vampiric Embrace, and Power Word Shields will generate 6 Insanity in combat. Now on to utility. We do have a lot of utility as a Shadow Priest. Fade, change slightly, removes threat, and now lowers the range at which enemies can attack you. Shadow Mend, this is Shadow's flash heal, but comes at a cost. Your target will ultimately take damage for half of what was healed. At level 56, when self-cast, Shadow Mend will increase the healing you do to yourself by 15% for 15 seconds, stacking up to 2 times. Mass Dispel, remove all harmful magic from 5 allies and 1 beneficial magic effect from 5 enemies in a 15-yard radius. At rank 2, level 50, Mass Dispel will remove some magic that is normally undispellable. Mind Soothe, this ability makes its comeback from long ago. Unlocked at level 52, reduce the range at which a target will attack you by 10 yards, won't cause threat, and is only usable on humanoid or dragonkin. Dispel Magic removes 1 beneficial magic effect from the enemy target. Mind Control, control the mind of a target for 30 seconds, doesn't work on demonic, undead, or mechanical beings. Mind Vision, see through the target's eyes for 1 minute. Resurrection, bring an ally back to life, cannot be cast in combat. Shackle, shackles the undead target for 50 seconds, preventing action or movement. Damage cancels the effect. Levitate, levitate a party or raid member for 10 minutes, causing them to float a few feet above the ground, water, or let them slow fall. Leap of Faith, pull a party or raid member directly to you on a 1.5 minute cooldown. Purify Disease, remove all disease effects from a friendly target, doesn't work on COVID. Power Word Shield, shield an ally for 15 seconds, can't shield the target again for another 7.5 seconds. Power Word Fortitude, infuse the target or party if you're in a group with 5% stamina for 1 hour, used to be 10%, oh well. And finally, Silence, this is your interrupt but on a long cooldown. Now on to movement. Let's talk about the talents. Shadow Priest talents are very versatile and you can find conflicting information on what's best. Let's do a quick rundown on the important talents so you can make an informed decision, and then we'll look at some of the best builds for different content. Row 15, there are 2 viable options on this row. Fortress of the Mind, which gives more damage and insanity generation to Mind Flay and Mind Blast, and Unfurling Darkness, which gives you a free insta-cast Vampiric Touch after hard casting 1. This does a burst of extra damage immediately and applies the usual dot. Can only happen once every 15 seconds. Row 25, this row will usually have you taking Body and Soul, which gives your Power Word Shield and Leap of Faith target a 40% speed boost for 3 seconds. The other 2 options are highly situational. Row 30, take a close look at this row. All options are situationally viable. Twist of Fate gives you a 10% damage boost after damaging enemies under 35%. Viability of this talent depends on how often you can keep the damage buff up. Misery, Vampiric Touch also applies Shadow Word Pain. Huge quality of life when dotting multiple or spread adds, and you can save a lot of GCDs. Searing Nightmare is great for AoE damage when you have a lot of consistent packs like Mythic Plus. On row 35, go for Psychic Horror for the stun for the majority of situations, and Last Word if you're lacking on interrupts. Row 40, two viable talents here. Auspicious Spirits, your shadowy apparitions deal 30% increased damage and generate 1 insanity. And Psychic Link, Mind Blast deals half of its damage to all enemies afflicted with your vampiric touch within 40 yards. Shadow Crash is only viable on pure single target on enemies that don't move. Row 45, the choice here is between Damnation and Mindbender. Damnation is good when you need a priority target to die quickly, and Mindbender generates a lot of insanity, which synergizes well with Void Form windows and damage in general. Finally, row 50, every choice is situationally viable. Ancient Madness increases your crit by 30% during Void Form, decaying by 2% every second over the duration. Hungering Void is great when you won't be switching targets during Void Form. Your target takes increased damage from your Void Bolt and increases the duration of Void Form. Finally, Surrender to Madness does an additional burst of damage and causes you to enter Void Form for 15 seconds, and your insanity generating abilities generate 100% more insanity for 25 seconds. However, if your initial target doesn't die within 25 seconds, you die. Here are the top performing builds for different content, but it's always smart to use your best judgment given the situation. When in doubt, sim. Leveling and world quests, Mythic Plus, rating, and this is what you'll see on some guides, and another rating tree. This is what you see Mythic players currently using. On to rotation. Some of the guides can have this looking a little bit overwhelming, so I'm going to try to simplify it as much as possible. Single target, keep Vampiric Touch and Shadow Word Pain on the target. If you're using Misery as a talent, refresh both dots with Vampiric Touch. Void Eruption with around 40 insanity. This is so you can cast Void Bolt directly after Void Eruption, and you should have exactly enough insanity to cast Devouring Plague. Plan around having 40 insanity ready when Void Eruption comes off cooldown. Void Bolt with less than 85 insanity so you don't overcap your insanity. Devouring Plague, the duration is increased when overriding the debuff, but for the min-maxing people out there, it's important to note that outside of Void Form, you can maximize Mastery Shadow Weaving by not overriding Devouring Plague. During Void Form, however, you get the maximum benefit for the duration, so don't play around it. Shadow Word Death if your target is below 20% health. Shadow Fiend, Mind Blast, Mind Flay. As a filler, when channeling Mind Flay, spam Mind Blast even if it's on cooldown and looking to consume a Dark Thought proc instantly. Or if you are about to have 50 insanity, spam Devouring Plague. AoE, 3+ targets. This is pretty much similar to our single target, but I'm gonna assume you changed your build to be using Searing Nightmare. Keep Vampiric Touch on up to 4 targets. Shadow Word Pain will be kept up by Searing Nightmare, so your focus will be on keeping Vampiric Touch up. Void Eruption with around 40 insanity. Searing Nightmare, you can use Devouring Plague instead when there is a priority add that needs to die quickly. Void Bolt, notice this is lower on the priority list now that we are in an AoE situation. Shadow Fiend, Mind Blast with a Dark Thought proc, and Mind Seer. If you're using Surrender to Madness, it's all the way up there with Void Eruption, but keep this in mind as well. Use it on cooldown as long as the following is true. You aren't already in Void Form, your target will die in that 25-second window. And last but not least, let's talk about Azerite and Essences. For Azerite, 3 Spiteful Apparitions, 2 Heart of Darkness, and 1 Whispers of the Damned. As for Essences, for your major essence, you want Condensed Life Force. And for your minor essences, look for the Crucible of Flame, Memory of Lucid Dreams, and Focused Azerite Beam. Shadow Priest has been quite an adventure. I cannot seem to put down the spec because it is so much fun. I've never spent so much time testing a spec, learning more and more about it, and then finding something new that demands more exploration. This spec is deep and has so many little nuances about it. The skill ceiling is high on Shadow Priest, and if you dedicate yourself to it, you can really get a lot of satisfaction from it. We are getting closer and closer to 1,000 subs, so if you enjoy my style of video, I'd love to have you subscribe. We have a community of some of the most friendly people I've ever seen on YouTube, and if that sounds like you, I'd like to have you come and join us. To all of you guys, thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next video. See ya.